Hey y'all, welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for liking this video and thank you for subscribing to my channel. Talking about the Gilded Age, Season 3, Episode 6. The name of the episode is If You Want to Cook an Omelet. And just like the last two episodes, it's written by Julian Fellows and Sonia Warfield. Let's get into it. Now, this episode was a little hard for me. I found it a little bit clunky because there were so many different things going on. Let me know if y'all felt the same compared to the mid-season finale and last week's episode, which to me were excellent and just flowed. This one felt kind of chunky. So I'll tell y'all what I mean. Maybe it'll make sense what I'm saying as I talk about it. Let's get into these characters, multiple plot lines going on in this amazing world that Julian Fellows has built called the Gilded Age. Now, first plot line we'll talk about is Marion. As y'all know, I like to go from my least favorite to my most favorite. And so my least favorite plot line in this week's episode was with Marion Brooke and her canceling this wedding. Now, I get it, Marion. I get it that you're upset because Larry lied to you. But are you upset that he lied to you? Or are you upset that he went to a house of ill repute? A house of ill repute, a house of ill repute, a disorderly house. She keeps saying this. What would a man do in a place like that? Have drink with his friends, go to a bachelor party, watch women dance. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's cheated on you. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's having sex with sex workers, although his homeboy was definitely going off to get his groove on and said that his wife will understand because she knows the deal. So y'all know how Larry is. Larry is young. Larry is confident, cocky, self-assured, has a player vibe, has had that since season one. But it seemed like he honestly did love Marion. It seemed like he honestly did have strong feelings for her. I don't know if he was in love with her, but he definitely had a love for her, an appreciation for her beauty, for her sweetness, for her softness, and saw her as a good mate. Why he would lie to her about this, I thought that was a bad choice from the very beginning. And I kind of knew it would get him in trouble because people who know you saw you there. This is a small world. Everybody knows everyone. And if I don't know you, my servants probably know your servants, right? So either way, Marianne finds out first from Jack that they didn't go to Delmonico's because the look on Jack's face when she asked him, "How was your celebration?" He's confused. And then she says, "Does this have to do with Maud Beaton?" And he's just like, "I'm out of here." Finally, she finds out where Larry was on the night of her engagement, of their engagement. And she calls the wedding off. She writes him a Dear John letter. She takes it across the street, drops it off. She's crying. And, there's a couple of people in the episode, characters, I should say, who are like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Her Aunt Ada, Oscar, Peggy, they all say, "Don't you want to talk to him first to find out, to get the details about what was going on?" Aunt Agnes is like, "Yes, I'm so glad this is over." She never wanted them to get married. She did not approve of this. She didn't express that when she was first told. But now that this news has come to pass, she is very much like, thank goodness. And y'all know some of these lines are just so eloquent and so beautiful, so poetic. So at one point, Ada says, "Your husband is not supposed to be a tenor in the opera. He's supposed to be a well-placed gentleman," which means that she sees Larry as too performative, I'm guessing, too much. He's not, she says, not some handsome hero, right? And so she sees that Marion is looking at Larry as this person who's rescuing her in a way. And maybe there might be some truth to that, but she is the only one who is ecstatic about the fact that this wedding is no longer taking place. And she's being mad extra with it. I also feel that Marion is being extra with it. Now, you definitely can't start a relationship on lies and deceit and secrets. That's a fact. But I think she owes Jack, not Jack, she owes Larry an explanation, a conversation, a moment. People say closure is overrated, but some type of exchange just to this Dear John letter. And she doesn't even say in the letter why the relationship is over. She just ends it. So that's Marion's story. So the wedding is canceled, la di da. Agnes is elated. Ada's a little bit sad. Oscar is a little bit, are you sure you know what you're doing? Peggy says, are you sure you don't want to talk to him first? See, maybe, and Marion is just no. I think she's overreacting. I think she's being extremely dramatic, but I have a 2025 mindset. Who knows if I would have this mindset in 1825, if my betrothed was hanging out a house of ill repute and I found out after the fact, maybe I might want to cancel the wedding too. No, I would not. I would not. So yeah. So that's Marion's story. The wedding is over. Next story that happens is this meeting of the robber barons at JP Morgan's house. It was so ominous and so creepy. I was like, somebody's gonna die in this episode. And I was right. But that whole meeting between the robber barons, it was giving like Monopoly game come to life to me. All those men wheeling and dealing, talking about the railroad, talking about the empires that they're building. It was very much Monopoly characters come to life. And we see that Merrick's brother is the actual person in charge who makes the real decisions about what happens with the company. And George and Morgan are able to talk him into this deal. Everybody's happy and they shake on it. And there's this thing of like, I have your word, you have my word, or your word is good enough for me. When we get back to New York, we're going to sign these contracts. Make sure you get that signature right there on the spot, because a handshake don't mean ish, okay? Lord knows we kind of were warned that Clay, we would not have seen the last of Clay, and here he is. And Clay is petty and vengeful, and he is going to get his lick back because the way George treated him was whack. I mean, who knows how long Clay had been working for George, and then for him to just not only fire him in the way that he did, but just the way he talked to him, the way he referred to him, very condescending, very rude, very bullyish. George was out of pocket. So Clay said, I know where all the bodies are buried, and that man is struggling. He's trying to act like he got it all together, but he does not. Between the wedding and all the stuff going on with his business, he needs help. So we get back to New York and someone plants this story in the paper about the business, and bad news travels fast. Good news travels fast. Bad news travels faster. Turns out that's all they needed, was just like a little bit of a hint of trouble. And his stock starts to plummet and things just start to go downhill. And so the new Clay, whose name I think is Brinkley, is saying to George, well, time to come up with a new plan, maybe sell some shares of your business, blah, 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 blah. Looks like they've got the one up on us. And George says, no. It's given stubborn. I was going to say a sun sign, but I'm not going to get in trouble in this video and try to talk about sun signs being stubborn because I don't want y'all to come for me. But George said, if it has to burn down, so be it. If I lose all of I refuse to let Clay get anything that I've built or win or get a one up on me. And if I have to go down, if my business has to go down in flames to prevent that from happening, so be it. And you know what, George? I like your attitude. There was another episode, I don't know if it was last season. I think it was last season where George and Bertha were talking about like losing money. And they said, you know, if we lose it all, we'll just work on it and get it back and do it even better the second time. So George is not afraid of hard work. He's not afraid of losing money because he feels he's completely confident and believes that he can make money. So that's the last of it with George. So that was that story. There was so many plots in this episode. The next one is with Jack. Our young Jack is going out into the world with $300,000 in cash. He's been put out. Now, Armstrong might be my least favorite character in this whole series. And that's saying a lot because there's like 50 different characters. Armstrong is the one who spills the beans. Agnes has been trying to find out how much Jack made from this clock because we have this moment where Jack is getting all of this mail. Agnes is getting no mail. Ada got one letter. Marion got no mail. Peggy got no mail. Jack has a whole tray of mail. So Agnes asks Bannister, how much did Jack make from this clock? Bannister says, I don't know. Bannister, you're a good egg because he did not tell his business. He knew that wasn't his business to tell. Marion knew how much Jack made from the clock. And when Agnes asked her, she said, it's none of my business. So here we have Agnes just being really pushy, really insistent in finding out how much money did Jack make from this clock. There's a whole bunch of people who know, but no one's telling her. So she thinks they don't know. And then here we have Armstrong serving her breakfast in bed. And Armstrong spills the beans, $300,000. Agnes freaks out. She's so upset. She's so angry. That is so much money. That's enough to buy their townhouse and everything in it. So she calls Ada over and she tells Ada, you need to handle this. You're the lady of the house now, and Jack cannot be working here. As rich as he is, you got to let him go. So we have this moment between Ada and Jack. It's really sweet. It's really tender. And she tells him, it's time for you to go off and make your way in the world. You've done really good, and we're so proud of you. But you can no longer work here as a footman because it's just not fair. It's not realistic. It's uncomfortable. Armstrong makes it seem like it's uncomfortable for the staff, for him to still be working there. The only person it was uncomfortable for was her. But either way, Ada agrees that it is time for him to go. And so she sends him off. And it was a touching moment. We get to see Jack saying goodbye to the staff. And he has a stack of envelopes that he gives Bannister. And he says, please give this out to everyone after I leave. So Jack leaves and everyone gets their envelopes and everyone has money in their envelope. Remember, they invested in him before he got rich. So this is his way of paying them back. So Oscar is the only person who didn't invest in him. So he didn't get an envelope. Armstrong didn't invest in him, but she got an envelope. He gave her money. I don't know how I feel about that part because she didn't deserve a penny, not one copper penny. Okay. I don't know if he realizes that the reason why he was told that he has to leave is because Armstrong told Agnes about how much money he has. Either way, Jack is gone, and it looks like he's about to come up with a new invention, which is like a hand mixer or a blender of some kind. So I think we'll be seeing him in future episodes in a different capacity. He's a fun character. He's a great actor. I think the camera really loves him, and he's a crowd favorite with a lot of people. So we haven't seen the last of Jack. Gilded Age has been picked up for season 4. There's only 2 episodes left of this season, from what I understand. But I'm excited that it's been picked up for season 4. Yay! Anywho, so that's Jack's plot line. Jack is leaving. And so now we no longer have a footman in the house. So I wonder if that means they're going to hire a new footman. Do they need a footman? We shall see. If they do hire a new footman, I would love for their new footman to be a person of color or Black. That would be dope, right? I think it's about time we have at least one more regular Black character outside of Peggy. Like Peggy, the actress who plays Peggy, Danae, she's like holding all of the Blackness for the Gilded Age. I mean, her parents, of course, are there, but as far as main character energy, so it would be nice to have a little bit more. And then also a Black person of a different class, a different background, maybe someone from the Caribbean. I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Julian Fellows, Sir Fellows, if you're watching this, how about it? Anywho, because we know that Ada and Agnes are open to working with non-white people, right? Because Peggy is Agnes's assistant, basically her secretary. So we know that if it were going to happen in any household, it would be in the Forte household that this would take place. So we talked about Marion canceling the wedding, talked about the robber barons meeting, talked about Jack leaving. The next story I'm going to talk about for about 5 seconds is with Larry and this metallurgist, right? He makes it to Morenci, to Arizona, and finds out some random stuff about Copper Child. We shall see. It's going to go somewhere, I'm sure, but we only get one scene. And all we need to know is that whatever report George had initially is actually not correct, because the place where they were digging is not where they should have been digging. They have a new site and it's rich in copper, period. Next story, Ada. Ada goes back to see Madame Dushkova. She wants to counsel with Luke once again, which was my fear. I didn't think she'd be content with that one moment that she had last week. So she's back again. She wants to have another moment. She wants to talk to Luke again. She's all excited and she's ready. You know, she got her coins and her little things. Did she ever get that watch back? Luke's watch that she gave? Madam slid that in her pocket. So at one point, Madame Dushkova refers to Luke as Luca and starts speaking to him, his spirit, in Italian. And Ada says, his name is Luke Forte. And that Luca, which was in the paper, was a misprint. The reality comes crashing in. Y'all ever have those moments where you're in a moment and someone says something or something specific happens, and then it feels like your eyes, whatever veil you had over your eyes, is just lifted and you see the reality of the situation that you're in? That was that moment. Shout out to Cynthia Nixon. I saw it in your eyes. She said, "You are a scammer." You're a scammer. You know, I've been foolish to believe in you, but you are cruel and mean. I can't remember the exact words she said, but she snapped. She told her, she said, you know, what type of person takes advantage of people's bereavement, people's grief? So she realizes that it was all for show. None of it was real. She goes back home. She's crying her eyes out. Agnes is there. Agnes says, "What's going on?" And Ada starts talking about how she misses Luke and she just can't deal in her heart and so on. And oh, this is the moment that I was waiting for. This is the moment I've been waiting for since Luke has passed. Ada needed to cry her eyes out in her sister's arms. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm actually getting emotional just talking about it. I'm getting emotional just talking about it. Ada needed to cry her eyes out in her sister's arms about this death of her beloved, right? Ada needed to feel Agnes's sympathy and her holding. Ooh, forgive me, y'all. I can't believe I'm getting emotional, but this scene is one of the scenes that I've been waiting for, because I knew that Agnes had it in her to be this. And I guess it took Ada crumbling for her to understand how, even though it's been a minute since Luke has passed, her sister is still wrestling with these emotions. The whole thing with the Temperance Society and Dishkova and all those things she was doing was a way to contain and move through her grief, when at the end of the day, she just needed to bawl her eyes out and talk about the pain of it all. And Agnes says to her, Luke is with you. He's with you. And he will always be with you, because the love that you had with him will always be there. And she hugged her, she held her, and I was like, yes. All right, let me get myself together. I'm a mess. I'm a mess, y'all. What is going on? What's going on? I guess I really resonate with the theme of grief. I really resonate with that. So, ooh, speaking of grief, somebody's gonna be grieving next week. But let's move on, shall we? Okay, so yeah, I guess I'll talk about that right now. Let's talk about Oscar's plot line. So Oscar, who, those of y'all who know me know that I did not like Oscar season 1. But this new Oscar season 3, he's growing, and maybe he needed to go through something hard to find that maturity within himself, but he's definitely growing as a person. And the fact that he lost all his money and has to work his way back, I think it's given him a sense of confidence, and I think it's made him feel a little bit more embodied as a businessman. So things seem to be going better for him because he's got clients thanks to John and so on. And he finds out from Larry that Maud Beaton is working at the house of ill repute as a sex worker. So he goes there and he confronts her. And I really love this scene. I love this scene when he walks up to her and he says, Maud Beaton. And she says, my name is Dolly Trent. And he said, if you don't, and then the man comes over, are you okay? And she says, yes. This man wants to buy me a drink. It's all good. They go to room 12. Maud, the audacity. I guess she never understood that Oscar was gay. Starts to strip off her dress. And he says, no, I want my money. Where's all my money? Thanks to you, I'm broke, and my mother is broke and is tormenting me all the time about the fact that I made her broke. You have destroyed my life. And at one point, when he picks up the candlestick, I thought he was going to hit her. I'm glad he didn't. I thought he was going to hit her. I thought he was going to strangle her. I thought he was going to shake her. He never put his hands on her, but you know he wanted to. And Maud goes on to deliver this sob story about how Crowder made her do what she did, and he left her high and dry, and now she's working as a sex worker in this place. She's basically an indentured servant working there, having sex with men for money who are overweight and smelly, and her father lost her in a card game when she was 12. Okay. I don't know. Something, maybe it's because she scammed us once, but scam me once and I won't ever believe you again. What do y'all think? Is that just me? Scam me once and I will never believe any of the words that come out of your mouth ever again. But for some reason, Oscar believes her and feels pity towards her, buys her a bus ticket, puts it in an envelope along with $100, which from what I understand is equal to about $3,000 in 2025. So that's a nice little coin, especially to where she's going in Sandusky, Ohio. Lord knows, $3,000, $100, I'm guessing would go a nice long way. She comes to the train station. He gives it to her, and she says, "You are a strange man. I rob you of all your money, and you give me $100 and a bus ticket." And he says, "I want you to take this and go start a new life, and don't ever come back to New York City again." I don't know if that's the last we've seen of Miss Maud Beaton, if that's even her real name. Maud Beaton, Dolly Trent, whoever you are. I don't trust you, girl. I'm sorry. I think you're a lovely actress and, quite delicate and quite elegant in your presentation, as Oscar said. But I don't know. We shall see. We shall see if we see her again. I think that there was a certain point when he called her elegant and she said that means they pay more. I thought that was interesting because it was a kind of toxic, distorted way of looking at pretty privilege in a way, because she's so chic and demure, then that means she demands more money. If she's an indentured servant to the house, the money that she makes from having sex with these men, that means most of it goes to the house. Either way, Maud is on a train to Sandusky, we hope. Now, moving on with Oscar's story, we see Oscar and the love of his life. The chemistry between these two men is so beautiful to me. And I recently found out that the actor who plays Oscar and the actor who plays Lady Sarah are married. I really thought that was Oscar was a gay man playing that role, but I was wrong. I think I've done a pretty good job of not rambling too much in this video, so I'm going to keep going. But I really liked John, and that ending was kind of telegraphed a little bit because they were standing in front of the men's club where they just ate, and their goodbye was so long-winded, and it just kept going, and it just felt like, okay, either they're gonna kiss or they're going to hold hands and someone's going to see them. I just had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. I just felt it in my bones. I said something horrible is going to happen. They're going to touch each other and someone's going to see them, or something's going to happen. Someone's going to come around the corner and it's going to be Maud Beaton. Like, I just knew that something weird and awful was about to take place. I didn't know it was going to be John's death. Woo! I jumped. Okay. Apparently, people died by horse and carriage quite often during this time. So it's not unrealistic what happened, but it was still very jarring and very sad. And John was such an awesome character because it really felt like he made Oscar better as a person. It really felt like he gave Oscar like uh a sense of purpose and grounding. He really served Oscar well. And when I say it like that, and when I think about it like that, it's often how female characters are used in film and TV, where they're kind of used as an accessory for a male character story or plot line as far as the things that they go through. And that was kind of how John was used. So the fact that he was killed when it seemed like him and Oscar were about to become not a couple, of course, but business partners who continually spent time and built together is very sad. It's very sad. And I know Oscar is going to be grieving, but it's going to be the type of grief that will be hidden because no one knows that John was the love of his life. And I really like that actor too. So I'm gonna miss seeing him, and hopefully maybe this will lead to Oscar coming out to someone. I think that would be nice. Maybe Oscar will come out to Marion. He definitely won't be able to come out to Agnes. Maybe he'll come out to Marion. Maybe he'll come out to Ada. But we know he's going to be going through it. And I feel bad for him as well because he got beat up. First, he got beat up. Then he got scammed. And now his lover dies. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's giving gay, traumatized character. Don't really want that in media. Don't really want that in our shows, right? That's part of what made this episode feel a little uncomfortable for me, is because it is a tiny bit of a trope to have a gay male character or gay character in general dealing with so much tragedy. Just when you think things are starting to go a little bit well for him, he's done this beautiful thing where he's given forgiveness to this woman that has ruined his life, and he's going to meet with a new client, and then all of a sudden, boom, this happens. And what happens to his client list and all the access that John was giving him in terms of the workforce? Does that disappear with John dying? We shall see. So we have two more storylines left, two of the big ones. Big Bertha comes to Sidmouth. Bertha came through with the woo, woo, woo. It was really awesome to see Bertha being a mom to Gladys and giving her that pep talk. Like, you're the Duchess. You are in charge. You are the wife. You run this house. And step to it, baby. Come on now. Step to it. If you want to cook an omelet, you're going to have to break some eggs. Gladys said, when's the last time you cooked? Bertha said, listen, it's a metaphor, baby, okay? I don't have to cook to know that you are the one who is going to shift your positioning here. And Gladys says, oh, well, it's too late for you to think about me being happy, Mom, being happily married. And Bertha, ever the truth teller, ever the pragmatic woman that she is, says, I'm not really interested in you being happy, but I'm not interested in you being pushed around and played and put down and dismissed. Not no daughter I raised. Mm-mm-mm. Remember who you are. She pulled the she pulled the move. Black Panther. Remember in Black Panther when the Queen said to T'Challa, "Remember who you are." She pulled that move. Your father knows how to manage events, and Gladys gives her mother her props. She says, Dad may know how to handle events, but I learned how to do it from you. Like, you are the one. You are the queen. You are the prototype. So it works. It works. At dinner, we see Gladys finally put Sarah in her place when Sarah stands up. And Gladys says, are you well? Because you stood up before me, and I know it must be some type of illness that would cause you to make such a mistake. Sarah sat back down, and little man next to Gladys said, well done, because we've been waiting for you to step it up. You are an American heiress, sitting in your room, crying, being bossed around by this chick who's basically just your sister-in-law. Don't let her play in your face. So it was really wonderful to see Gladys step things up. Thanks to Bertha, who gave her that bit of confidence and that bit of a push. And she also spoke to Hector, and she was like, listen, if you play your cards right, Gladys is smart and interesting. She has good character, a good heart. and she could actually make your life better, like your existence, what you're doing here. She could be a benefit to your life if you approach it in the right manner. As in, don't play my daughter small, okay? My daughter is amazing and I need you to recognize. So there we have it. I don't know if they're going to stay true to the real life story of Consuelo Vanderbilt, because she stayed unhappy for her entire marriage to the Duke. It seems like they are veering off from that a little bit, because Gladys definitely seemed to be in brighter spirits when Bertha left than before. She's speaking up for herself, and she's taking an interest in the land, in the farm, in the running of the house, which is what she needs to be doing, because she is the lady of the house, technically. She's the lady of the house. She's the wife, she's the duchess. And all she needed was for someone to give her that vote of confidence and that boost. And Bertha came through and gave it to her. And Bertha has not felt like a mother figure to Gladys in a minute. So it was nice to see her being a mom, being supportive, telling her all about her potential. And it's like, I put you in this position of power. So please use that power. Don't waste it. Moving on, we have the last story, last plot for this episode, my favorite character, Miss Peggy Scott. So we see Miss Peggy Scott and Dr. Kirkland talking, and she tells him about her history with Mr. Fortune. I don't know. Nothing really happened between them. So her telling him that there was something that took place between them and it wasn't just his fault, it was her fault too. It felt like she was confessing to something bigger than what it actually was. Once again, maybe I'm looking at the situation with 2025 eyes. I will accept that. But Dr. Kirkland took it pretty well. He said he's glad it's over. Peggy said she will no longer be working with Mr. Fortune, because obviously going backwards is not the move, especially when it comes to that person. And she says there's something else. And he says, no, don't tell me now. Tell me later. Tell me in time. And I think she was going to tell him about the baby, right? Because we all know that Peggy had a baby at one point. So he kind of pushes it off. And to me, that's a red flag. If you're dating someone and they say, I have to tell you something about my past, and you say, oh, you don't have to tell me now, I don't want to know that now, that's a red flag, because I want to know all about you. If I'm in love with you and I want to build a future with you and I want to marry you, if you want to tell me something, even, and especially if it gives you a look of uncomfortability in your face and in your body, I want to know what's bothering you. I want to know if there's some way I can help. Obviously, something happened to you in the past that is a hard thing to talk about. Tell me all about it. But he kind of pushes it off. Then they talk about Frances Harper. Lisa Gay Hamilton playing Frances Harper, iconic, perfection. Yes, Frances Harper, suffragist, poet, writer, abolitionist, one of the conductors of the Underground Railroad, public speaker, woman about town. Peggy's throwing a little tea salon situation featuring Miss Harper. And in this, we have tea and we talk about the movement. Dr. Kirkland asks Peggy to invite his mom to the event. She says, okay. Or no, Dr. Kirkland tells Peggy, can his mom come to the event? She says, fine. They have the event. Frances Harper is dropping the jewels and the gems. Peggy is eating it up. The other women are listening. And then next to her, we have Mrs. Kirkland, who is giving pick me 1800s pick me. Yeah, she's very much not in alignment with anything that Frances Harper is saying. Taking care of your husband, taking care of your children. Frances Harper says, my husband is dead and my kids are grown. So I'm free to do what it is that I want to do. And this is my life's work and my life's purpose, spreading the message. And Mrs. Kirkland is not into it. She's not buying it. She's not feeling it. She's not feeling it. And then we find out that she did not know that this is what would be happening at this meeting, this tea. Dr. Kirkland did not tell his mother that this was a tea featuring the great Frances Harper. He just made it seem like it was a tea with ladies, Black ladies. So kind of sprung it on her by surprise. That's another red flag. So now Dr. Kirkland, who I thought was the one, it's not really given the one because these flags, they're not flaming on fire red flags, but they are red flags. The second red flag is him not telling his mom what the tea was, him just saying, oh, I'll just bring her and she'll figure it out when she gets there. He kind of put his mom in an awkward position doing that, and he also put Peggy in an awkward position doing that. So then they leave. Mrs. Kirkland and Dr. Kirkland are in the coach heading back, and mom says, well, a woman like that wouldn't really have the space and time for, a wife and kids. And Dr. Kirkland said, I'd be proud to have a wife like that who has a passion for politics, a strong voice, et cetera, et cetera. I'd be proud to have a wife like that. And she says, you would be proud to have a woman like that, to know a woman like that. But that's not a wife. That's not what a wife does. Now, do I agree? I do not agree. The third red flag was the fact that Dr. Kirkland did not say, we'll figure it out, or I think we would be fine, or I would be proud to have a wife like that. I think a wife who has strong politics and a career would make an excellent mother. He didn't say anything in defense of Peggy. That's a red flag. So we have 3 flags on the play from Dr. Kirkland. And it almost looked as if he was thinking about what his mom said and it made sense in his brain. So I'm a little concerned. And then we see Peggy talking to her mom about the whole experience. And Peggy's mom says, when you marry someone, you don't just marry that person, you marry into their family. So we have this family, the Kirklands, they're elitist, colorist. They look down on your father because he's a formerly enslaved person. You are a dark-skinned woman, right? So there's complications between these 2 families as far as they have this thing of race in common, but their politics are not in alignment. And I'm one of these people who believes that all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Just because you and I are the same hue or have the same ancestry doesn't mean that I'm going to automatically see you as a comrade or someone that I want to share intimate space with, because the politics that you're bringing might be anti-Black. The politics that you're bringing might be sexist, might be misogynoirist, might be ableist, might be classist. This is a classist situation for sure. So there's a little bit of a complication between Peggy Scott and Dr. Kirkland. Although I'm appreciating the romance that has been blooming between them, we're seeing that it's not all gravy. It's not all gravy. And not just because of Kirkland's mom, but also because Kirkland seems not fully present just yet in this experience. But we shall see. I love the actor. I love the chemistry between the two of them. I'm curious to know if we're going to see Thomas Fortune again. I love the way Kirkland stood up for Peggy in the train station. But the way he did not stand up to her, to his mom, that gave me cause for pause. So that's it. I think that's it for the whole episode. I think this might be my quickest video yet. I wanted to close out with a quote. This is from Frances Harper. We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, and society cannot trample on the weakest and feeblest of its members without receiving a curse in its own soul. Frances Harper. I'll read that one more time. We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, and society cannot trample on the weakest and feeblest of its members without receiving a curse in its own soul. This is a quote from Frances Harper from one of her speeches. If you're interested in reading the entire thing, it's called We Are All Bound Up Together. And it kind of reminds me of the Bell Hooks book, From Margin to Center, where she talks about how the folks who are on the margins of society need to be the ones who receive the most care because they're the ones who receive the most harm. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this week's episode and what are you hoping will be coming up soon. How do you feel about Dr. Kirkland and Peggy? How do you feel about Marion canceling the wedding? What do you think about Jack inventing the blender? All right, that's enough, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye.